first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the strap. I've already marked it and pinned it. So yeah, here we go. Pretty much I've pinned where I want it to be, and now I'm just cutting it. What I've done is I've done it, my strap is going to be 64 inches, so what we've done is we've pinned it, and we pretty much cut it in half to 32, and then we laid it on the same piece of fabric. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to cut down here, and then I'm going to cut down here, and we're going to have the two pieces of straps, and then we're going to sew them together later and make the strap. Okay. Now that we've cut out the first piece, we're going to go down and cut to the second piece. We have a little bit of extra. If you can see the pins, we have a little bit extra on this side, so what we're going to do is we're just going to cut that off by cutting down the lines of the pins. Give me a minute. And we have our strap cut. So yeah, next thing up is cutting out the bag. I have my two pieces of fabric laid down of each color. So I say that I probably want my bag, I'm going to leave the width of this is how big the bag is going to be, but make sure to remember that you're going to have about an inch on either side, or about 5/8, so half an inch on either side for seam allowance. So I've already cut down my fabric to the size I want it to be, all that kind of great stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find out where I want it. I want probably about right here, and I'm just going to mark little dots going across the bag. Next thing, we have our bag marked. Next thing we're going to do, pin time. We're going to pin it because I've done many projects where I haven't pinned it and it screwed it all up and it didn't even look right. So, pin on each line is what I usually do, on each of the lines that you've made with your fabric marker or pencil. You just go all the way across. Get out your trusty fabric shears, and it's time to cut out. So you want to make sure that you can get as close as possible to where the pins are, because that's where your line is. And if you're a little off, it doesn't matter, because you're going to be putting a hem around the outside of this anyways. Okay, and here's our bag. Now I know you can see these two pieces, but in a minute, after you have it sewed, you're not going to be able to see those. We've cut out our bag. Now it is time to make our flap. So what you're going to do is you're going to take, not that yet, you're going to take, you have 4 pieces here. You don't need 4 pieces, you need 2. So what you're going to do is you're going to take one piece of orange, or whatever color you're using, put the other one to the side, take one piece of blue, or whatever color you're using, put the other one to the side, and lay these down, one on top of the other, just like you did when you're cutting out your bag. Now, it's crucial, very, very, very crucial, to make sure that the pieces are lined up. Because if they're not lined up, then, well, it's going to go bad. So, you take your bag, you lay it on top. Now, it depends on how big you want your flap. I usually make my flap a little bit longer than my bag, because whenever you put stuff in it, it goes out. So you want your flap to make sure that it covers all of it. So what you're going to do is you're going to, you don't really have to mark or paint anything this time. All you got to do is lay your bag down and cut. Now make sure that you leave a little bit of room for seam allowance. Remember that. It's always very, very, very crucial that you have seam allowance. Take the scraps, throw them to the side. Now you have your bag and your flap. It's time to get sewing. What's up? Now it's time to sew our bag that we've cut out, and we've done everything. Get some of my brand new sewing machine that I won. It is the Janome. I won it on Threadbangers from Rob and Corinne, and I wanted to give a gigantic, huge, huge, glorious thank you to them. This means so much to me, and this is going to stay in my life. I'm never giving this thing up, ever. This is my baby. Her name is Jan, Janome Jan. We decided to name her Jan. Yeah, so we're going to sew now. First things first, we're going to be sewing our strap. Best way to do this, start with the outside piece that is like folded over on this side, and what you're going to do is you're going to start on the folded side, and you're going to drop your pressure foot at 3/8. We're going to sew the strap at 3/8 because we want it a little bit bigger than 5/8. So, first things first, make sure you've got everything set right that you want to be set. And here we go. First things first, you do one stitch, a couple stitches, and then you do a back stitch. Wait a minute, my sewing machine was not ready. Now it's ready. Do a couple stitches, then do a back stitch, and then you're ready to go. Okay, now you drop your needle into your fabric, lift the pressure foot and turn your fabric, and drop your pressure foot again. Make sure it's lined up on 3/8, that's crucial, and you start sewing again. Remember, when you're sewing your strap, make sure you don't sew one end closed because you do have to flip it inside out. Next part, we're going up to the other part of the strap because I cut it in half, and on this side both sides are loose. So what you want to do is you want to start at one end, sew all the way down, go across, and go all the way up. It's the best thing to do. Remember to leave this end open because you do have to flip it inside out. Now it's time to start with the bag. My favorite part. Now, you remove the first pin so it doesn't get in your way, and this time we're sewing at 5/8, not 3/8 like we did on the strap. We're sewing at 5/8. Once again, lift your pressure foot in place, drop your needle, and sew, and make sure when you're sewing you do a couple back stitches. And you just keep sewing. Now it's time to sew the other side of the bag. Once again, you do the 5/8, drop your pressure foot, bring your needle down, do a couple back stitches, and sew. Okay, now we have both the sides of our bag sewn up. Now all we have to do is flip it inside out. You open whatever color you want on the outside of the bag, you open that one up. I want blue on the outside. So you open up the blue, you flip it in through the blue, just like this. Poke the edges, make sure they're good. Flip everything up. Do a couple of these. Oops. And this time you open up the blue, the yellow, or whatever color you want on the inside. So it's a clear bag right through, and you're good. So now what we have to do is we have to sew a hem around the outside. Now it's time to do the flap. What you want to do, make sure everything's lined up. You don't really need pins for this because, I don't know, I just don't have pins in it. So make sure that you keep one side open. You have to keep one side open because you have to flip it inside out. So we're going to do 5/8 for this, like we did the bag. Drop your pressure foot, drop your needle in. So do a couple back stitches and go. So now we have to put the flap onto the bag. The best way to do this, while you're sewing the flap onto the bag, you have to put a hem around the outside. So, best way to do this, you fold this side down, and then you fold this side down. Line them up. Now, what you have to do is you have to take the end of your flap and along with this, stick it on the inside, just like this. Now, we have everything pinned the way it should be. Have everything pinned inside and the flap pinned on. And we're ready to sew. Best thing to do, on my sewing machine, I can remove this. Ooh. So now all I gotta do is this. Lay this down like this. Drop the thing. Now, you really don't have to do 3/8 or 5/8 whenever you're doing this. All you got to do is just make sure that you keep a straight line going all the way across. You might want to, if you can slow down your speed of your sewing machine, you might want to do that. Back stitch, and keep on going. Always remember to remove pins as you get to them, because they will catch you and they will be a butthole. Ow, I got stabbed. And there you are. That's how simple it is. You've got your flap sewn on there and everything. All you got to do now is sew on the pockets. If you want to put pockets on it, and sew on the strap. You know, you might want to DIY a little bit, you know, bleach some of it, put some appliques and just a whole bunch of stuff on there. Well, yep, there you go. And we're done. Y'all have a great day and see you later. Peace.